Welcome back, everyone. Well, big topic up in Warren County is the Watershed Coalition. And I've done a couple of interviews on this, and I've been saying to people, if you'd like to come on and talk about it, come on and talk about it. And little did I know that we're going to get a very special guest who wanted to come on and talk about it. Rachel Sieber. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks, Jesse. I appreciate being here.
Oh, it's great to have you here. We have a lot to talk about. We're probably going to break this into two parts, okay?
Right.
Because you're also running for town supervisor Queensbury, and I want to get into that as well.
Thanks.
But the elephant in the room right now is this Watershed Coalition.
Yeah.
And the way we positioned it is we're allowing anybody who's involved in this, feel that they're a stakeholder in this, feel a responsibility to the voters in the community to come in and kind of help frame it for us. We could start right there. What's your perspective on this?
Right. I think first as a county representative for our residents in Queensbury and as a candidate running for town supervisor, it's really important that we have these discussions, that we talk about transparency in government and accountability. And what we have in front of us is obviously a criminal investigation regarding Dave Decker. But more importantly, it's about the transparency and what we are entrusted with. We go out there and we ask people for their vote, but more importantly, we have to earn their vote.
Yes, right. Sure.
And so I think the message we want to convey to people is that we're doing our due diligence. We're doing better than that. We are looking at the checks and balances. And we aren't afraid to tell the community the truth. And sometimes the truth isn't great to hear, but our community, they can handle the truth. They deserve it. And I think it's really important, as we look at things like this, that we put it into terms people can understand. And you and I have spoken about this. It's absolutely no different than an IRS audit of our own personal taxes. So if we're going to be audited, we're expected to make sure, A, we're telling the truth, and B, we have the documentation. And if in fact that audit takes place and we don't have the information, we're typically fined by the IRS and made to pay back money. And we're accountable. And so when that happens, we need to, if I file those taxes with my husband and we're audited, you better believe that I'm telling my husband. The town here is no different. When the town was audited, it needed to be shared with the public. But more importantly, to the town supervisors who the public is electing. Those councilmen are elected by the people. The people deserve the truth. They deserve accountability. And, I believe that's probably at the heart of this entire conversation is transparency.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting, because my follow-up to you is, where has it not been transparent?
Right. So back in 2005, I think most people, or back in 2015, most people by now are aware that there was an audit that took place from the Department of State. And that audit, listen, there's hundreds of pages that go with it, but this is the overall, just the cover page. And I think most people here are aware, but what's important to me is over the last few years, I've been attending the town board meetings, I've been attending the workshops, and I've had an opportunity. I've written grants since 1999. I've been able to administer them, execute them as a role with both the District Attorney's Office and the United States Attorney's Office. And what I asked at an August 17th workshop is, I don't understand what's going on here. It's not making sense to me. And the answer that I was told from Dave Decker and Supervisor John Strow was, everything's okay. We passed the audit. But when I look at the audit, and that's exactly what it's referred to in these reports as an audit, the town neglected, the town did not require, the town did not verify, and it goes on and on. This information is something that our councilmen who are elected to represent us, they deserve to know it.
Well, you know what, Rachel, I think we've got to be just a little bit careful here in that there is some question, although I agree with you that this was an audit, but there was some question as to whether it was even officially supposed to be called an audit. Even more in play, it's whose responsibility is it? I like the idea that like's a strange word here, but the fact that you have the experience in writing grants and understand the process, which speaks to the way the process works, who's responsible at different stages of the process and whatever, all of that leads to a certain degree of transparency. And I agree with you there. I think that some of this wasn't handled correctly, but the Decker situation and the John Strauss situation are almost two separate situations, aren't they?
Well, I think it ultimately comes down to accountability. And when we look at what happened with the state and the submissions, the bottom line is the town is the contractor and we subcontract out that work. And just as we require an employee or a department head to show proof, if they're traveling somewhere, if they've expended dollars, if they've gotten a negative report, all of that needs to go to their department head and ultimately to the supervisor. So I think from that perspective, I'm not here to lay blame. What I'm here to talk about is the transparency of it. The criminal investigation will continue to take place by the sheriff's office regarding Dave Decker, but I'm specifically very worried about the lack of transparency that we're able to offer our community members. It's their money. They work hard for every dollar, and I think they deserve to know how it's being spent.
Yeah, you know what? I completely agree with you. You know, having heard both sides of the argument of, you know, the Decker situation has to be taken separately. It just does, because that's a criminal investigation.
Sure. Yeah.
And who knows where that's going to wind up. But at the supervisor level, I really do kind of just get the impression that it is about the transparency. It's almost as if you had to do it over again. How would you do it differently? You know, and there's more to come on this.
Sure.
But I was very interested in knowing your position on this. You're running for supervisor, town of Queensbury. So we're going to stop this interview down. We're going to pick it up in part 2 because there's an awful lot that you'd like to know about Rachel that I happen to know that we're going to share with you, and the reasons for wanting to run for office. So thanks for coming in, Rachel.
Thanks, Jesse.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.